I don't know why.
I can turn them up a little.
You can turn up the microphone. Sorry, I don't know why I've got my microphone on, so that might be better. Yes, I speak so quick. Yeah, I won't go there. Public participation, public forum. I've got Chloe Waratini of, is it Inspiral Foundation? Inspiral? Yep. Who's going to talk about the Otakaro orchard. Thank you.
Atamaria, good morning councillors. Thank you to Vicky Buck for inviting me to speak briefly to you today. I promise I won't take up too much of your time, and that what I have to share is very exciting. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Chloe Waratini. I'm a coordinator with the Food Resilience Network, and I'm leading the Otakaro Orchard project. This project, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, is the crown jewel in our shared vision to make Christchurch the best edible garden city in the world. And yes, that's directly from your food resilience policy. So we've been making really great strides with this project this year. We've now received over $300,000 in grant funding and public donations, and over $100,000 in in-kind sponsorship from industry partners. We've got fully costed designs for both the edible park and the building, and we'll be applying for consents in the coming weeks. Just last night we submitted a major funding application to lotteries for the construction costs of the building. It's all full steam ahead. You could even say that it might be the fastest progressing anchor project in the city, all powered by the amazing spirit of the Christchurch community. And of course that's where you come in. We've really appreciated the support so far of both the council and council officers in taking the project to this point. And now the only thing standing between us and delivering the project this year is being able to attract the financial resource to do so. So right now we're crowdfunding, as you might have seen in the paper yesterday. And we really need your help to get this across the line. I know you're all incredibly connected to your communities and will be invaluable in getting the word out. And how about having your legacy preserved for decades in in Christchurch's most delicious park by having a brick named after you, or perhaps even stumping up to name a tree? It could really bear great fruit. Okay, I'll quit with all the puns. But please feel free not only to pledge and spread the word through your networks, but also to connect me with people, businesses and organisations who would welcome the opportunity to invest in this inspiring project for Christchurch. My contact details are on the Pledge Me page. Thank you. And I thought I would just speak very, very briefly, and then if you have questions, there's plenty of time for those.
Very good. Has anyone got any questions? Yanni?
Thank you. I just remember last time you came, one of the concerns was around security of tenure.
Yes.
And we had a resolution to ask staff to work with you around the project.
Yeah.
And including looking at the security of tenure or ownership issues.
So what
any
we've got
progress on
now, so we initially had a 5-year lease that started in February last year. What we've now got agreement in principle from all partners, including the council, departments and Otakaro Limited and also the Canterbury Horticultural Society, is to have a 10-year lease with 2 rights of renewal, sitting with the Canterbury Horticultural Society, who are one of our key partners on the project. So that's something that's definitely being looked at, and that should be signed off in the coming weeks.
That's good news.
Yeah.
Can I just clarify, your understanding of who owns the land?
So the Crown owns the land. And Otakaro Limited are the agency looking after that. And what their understanding is of the future ownership of the land is that it will transfer to council.
Right.
So that's why council have been involved in those discussions.
Okay.
Good news.
Cool.
Good news.
Great.
Phil.
Thank you. I'm just wondering, in terms of, say, your policies and the processes you have, is there a way that the garden would be spray-free or organic?
Yes, it's absolutely going to be organic. Yep.
Excellent. Thank you.
Anyone else? I think people are just really excited about it,
Yeah.
and that's just such great news about getting the tenure sorted. It's
Yeah, and we got $250,000 from the Rata Foundation towards the
Great.
building last year. So that's a really great vote of confidence as well. As I said, everything's really coming together, and there's so much goodwill involved. The thing that's important about the crowdfunding is, first of all, it demonstrates to funders and to everyone that this is something that the community really wants and wants to invest in, and that's something that we've said all along. So really important for that to go ahead. Also, it is the chance for our community, people, business organisations to get their name on the project. And when I think about the project being built and the experience of people walking through that, I want it to look like it's community owned, and so that's really key for that.
And I guess your challenge is that every single councillor sitting here, including the Mayor, should make a pledge on
Yes.
pledgeme.co.nz, project 50550 Takaro Orchard, Phase 1, build an edible park for Christchurch. Is that a good enough ad for you?
Absolutely, and of course share it through your networks.
And share it on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and everything else
Yeah.
that you've got. I've only got
Snapchat,
Facebook and
all
Twitter.
those things.
Right, onto it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now, the next one is a deputation by appointment, but I do notice that the deputy chair of one of the submitters today will be included in the deputation, so might just have a conversation about that later. So Mick O'Donnell, Pam Richardson and John Meeker speaking regarding the Little River Big Ideas project referenced in item 20, Banks Peninsula Community Board report to Council.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Mick O'Donnell from Little River. This is Tori and this is John, both of whom have been part of the project group. Just to tell you a little bit this morning about how this plan came about. It's a true community plan as it was born in the community, and the state that you see it now, it's entirely community created. So to kind of lift a line from an old Hot Chocolate song and twist it a little bit, it started with a flood. So Little River has
So
flooded
much better than a kiss, yeah.
but it lasted longer. It's Little River's flooded probably as far back as anyone living there now can remember, but we had a couple in quick succession. One of them we were told was the worst flood in 100 years, a 100-year flood, and 3 weeks later we had another one. And just to sort of personalise it, when that happens we get about a metre of water through the main street of Little River. The shop is flooded out, the cafe is flooded out, the garage is flooded out, and they're more familiar than they'd like to be with it. I got a bit of a fright because we had 40 centimetres of flowing water under my house, which is only 40 metres from the Akana, and I had to carry my children to the fire station because I thought the flood was severe enough to knock them over. What that did was that really galvanised the community board in approaching some agencies around some flood mitigation. And so we got together with ECAN, we got together with the council, and we got a targeted rate agreed for mitigation measures. So that's one of the real positives that's come from this. Now, out of that, there came a plan which was called the Issues and Options Plan, which was done by a local planner. So she happens to work at Lincoln University, that's Dr. Suzanne Valance. And she put together a plan, and its scope widened somewhat. So it wasn't just about floods and flood mitigation, it was about what the community wanted, what the concerns were. And so it took in things like speed limits and footpaths and connecting cycleways and plantings and water quality, all sorts of stuff. Now, I come from a small community. There are, if you include Cooptown and Birdlings Flat, there are probably somewhere between 11 and 1,200 of us. And anyone from here that has a background with small communities knows that generally where they can, they take care of themselves. They own stuff, they step up, and everybody does their bit. But I also know from my background, which was in consultation with the Old Banks Peninsula District Council, that everybody tells people like yourselves what their community wants. And how do you know that really is what the community wants and not just the view of one person? So really that was the issue that we wanted to resolve. We have all these people with lots of passion and ideas working kind of separately. And then we have agencies like yourselves who don't quite know what the community wants and just want to do the right thing. You want to do what the Local Government Act asks you were doing, which is to reflect the needs and wants of your community, but you need to know what they are and you need to be able to trust what you're being told. So this plan put together a consultation process. So there already had been consultation that went into the issues and options paper. So we already had some good founding stuff there. And so we took this out to the community and we asked them what they wanted. Now the reason, rather than go into all that detail, because I know we've only got 10 minutes, there's some wacky stuff in there. And that's how you know it's real. So my other job, or one of my other jobs, is I'm the board chair for the local school. And we wanted to make sure that the voice of children was heard in this, and I might have pushed that a little bit myself. And Tori was good enough to go in and interview the kids in the classrooms, just sat them around and said, what do you want? So if there's stuff in there, if it's heavily reflected that playgrounds are wanted and that they need a shop in Little River when they've already got a shop, there's stuff like that, but you know that that's genuine input from the community. So what we've done is we've collected all these ideas and thoughts, and we've had fantastic backing from the council, from staff, and from the team that are based in Little River. So one of the my messages to you is keep that up. That's been great. The next stage is, so we've got a plan which captures what we think people want. We don't have priorities. We've identified agencies that might be able to help. So people like yourselves might be able to help with some of the local roading stuff, with footpath stuff, with cycleways and so on. So we've got the prioritisation, and then what we're using this plan for is a mustering point for all those groups that are working separately to come together. So how do you know who else is interested in your stuff? And we used to have this chart, I'm probably showing my age now, but in the UK we used to have this charming thing. When you started a game up in the playground, you all just kind of put your arm around one another and you went round and you chanted who wants to play. And that's what this plan is really doing. It's who else is interested in stuff that I care about, and who's prepared to grab a spade, who's prepared to talk to people, who's prepared to advocate for it. So what I'd say for you is this is a genuine community plan. We've had more than 100 submissions or pieces of content to it.
400.
Well,
400.
400, thank you, that's one of those. We're not done. We'll get more input. It'll evolve. Some of the ideas in there we might decide to shelve. But that's what a plan does. It kind of grows and it changes and it evolves with what the community needs. I'd also put to you that in a way we've done your job for you. Now it's the community board that's kicked that off, so they've got to take the credit, and that is you in the broader sense. But you know, you don't have to do all that hard work of finding out how do we do the right thing here, because we're telling you what the right thing is.
Can I nod harder?
Thank you.
In the nicest possible way.
This is music to my ears, you know.
Okay. So to go back to it, you know, small communities in particular own their own stuff, and there are projects in there that we need your help with. There are some that we'll need to pull different agencies together, and there are some that would just be about local people pulling finger. So I think this is a fantastic thing to have done. And, you know, I'd recommend it to any other small community out there, and I understand Diamond Harbour's working on one at the moment. And this is just a really good model for community engagement, I think. So what I'm asking of you is continue to back your community. Listen to us, please. Ask questions by all means. If you say, look, who says so? Is that just you, Mick, or have you got some wider mandate here? By all means, ask those questions. We have all those submissions on record. If you need to back check exactly who said what, we've got all that.
Yep.
And I think I've talked enough.
Look, have you heard of something called the Community Resilience Partnership Fund? So it's only just been established, so I wouldn't be surprised if you hadn't heard of it, because it only got this much mention in the press. But what it's designed to do is to invest. So the council invests in precisely the sort of initiative that you've just described, which is not so much investing in a project, but investing in a community so that the community can lead the partnership with the council. So when it's not abandoning communities to do things on their own, it's actually investing in the community so it's got the capacity to develop up the ideas that we can then assist with in the normal process. So and because when the community leads, there are also other access to other funding mechanisms. You know, you said the targeted rate, but also you can get a private, you know, you can get charitable trusts donating, you know, so there's the sum is greater, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. I've got it right this time. So music to my ears. So questions, comments? Andrew?
I'll make a comment. I think this is an excellent piece of work. I mean, when we put $15,000 on budget for the development of this type of thinking, and we didn't necessarily expect that it would end in a document or a plan in this way, it was really just to get some conversation going in communities like Little River and Diamond Harbour, as you say, is the other one. We were hopeful that some good ideas would come out of that. What you've produced is something, I think, way beyond what we expected. And the great thing about this for me is that there's been so much input into it from so many different sources. And then there are projects that drop out of it, almost an action plan that drops out of it. But not all of those projects need to be council-led projects. Not all of them involve council funding. There are community-led projects here, there are community-funded projects here, there are partnership projects between various entities, sometimes involving council, and also there's a sense of the priorities that the community has got for council-led projects and things council should be doing as well. So I think we've got a lot to learn from the work that you've done. I think it's a really good way of doing this sort of planning work, and for a relatively small investment of $15,000, I believe that we've got something here which has got far greater value than that, and will actually serve as a blueprint for Little River's wishes, desires, priorities to be recognised for a long time to come, recognising that this obviously remains a work in progress, and those priorities will change and things may be added to this in the future. But really just to say well done for the work you've done. What we've got is an excellent document which will lead to, I'm sure, some really good outcomes from Little River.
Yeah. Thank you, Andrew. And you've just reminded me of something. I'm just fronting this today. The real chair, Janet Reeves, is a real driving force behind this, and she's the one that's made that happen. She's had the expertise, she's drawn people together, she's pushed when she needed to, she's encouraged when she needed to. She can't be here today, but a lot of it's down to her. And Pam's backing, and Maria Bartlett from our old community board too.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean to sort of say that before, because but Pam will be sitting up at the table as the deputy chair of the board when it comes to the report itself. So, and as you say, you've highlighted an element of the report, but we all know what Pam's invested in it as well. So it's just a great model. So look, thank you very much for your time. It's greatly appreciated, and I think we'll be reaching out to you in other ways in the very near future. So thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.